let's talk about the game this weekend where we get to see the first team back in action up at Turf Moor. Burnley against Spurs, 2 o'clock kickoff up north. I mean, how are you looking at this game? You after last night, you confident going into this weekend, or do you not kind of put the 2 and 2 together?
Yeah, exactly. I think we've. I mean, look, am I confident going into this game that we're definitely going to win? Obviously, after the result yesterday, that shows to me that there's still a big problem within the whole squad in terms of attitude. Maybe not with the first team, but there is definitely an attitude problem. So I am a bit less confident because if we would have won comfortably yesterday, at least you would have known in the squad there's a atmosphere where people are at least fostering an atmosphere that at least that they can do the bare minimum against a team like Mura and win, and to not even do that indicates a problem, even though it wasn't the first team. But at least on Sunday, we will have the first team back in action. We will have a better balanced team. We will have a team more competitive to win. Obviously, against Leeds last week, we made it very difficult for ourselves, 1-0 down. We did turn it around, but it wasn't the easiest of games. So Burnley are a team who are actually in decent form, so they're not going to make it easy for us whatsoever. And we're going to have to be on top of our game if we're going to win. But I've got no doubt that with our squad, with our first team out, and them being if they're playing to their full potential, of course we can win this game. Of course we can win this game, but it's going to be difficult. I don't see it being a very simple task. I don't see it being a game where we're just turning up and playing lovely football and winning easily. It's going to be a slog. It's going to be a tough game. Burnley are going to make it very difficult for us to play for any sort of football. They're going to be very aggressive, and they're going to be actually pressing very high, which they have been very recently. So we're going to have to manage that. We're going to have to be able to either get balls into Harry Kane and Son very quickly from the back line, or be able to play through them with the likes of Winks and Højbjerg, probably, who I'm thinking is probably going to play in the centre of the park. So I don't envisage it being a very simple game, but if we can keep a clean sheet, I do back us to get at least 1 or 2 moments going forward where we can hurt them.
And if you look at the head-to-head between the clubs, I mean, we're on pretty good form against Burnley at the moment. Last 4 games, 3 wins, 1 draw. Obviously, a loss coming just before that. But Turf Moor, actually, a lot of people say, it's a hard place to go, the modern-day Stoke and all that. But we've got a pretty good record up there, don't we?
Yeah, we do. We don't tend to lose too many games. The only game I remember us losing was when Poch squared up to Mike Dean that one time.
When we lost, that was when we lost 2-1.
Yeah.
5 games ago, yeah.
Yeah, that was that's one of the only times I remember us losing at Turf Moor. Usually we actually tend to get a result up at Turf Moor. And actually, and Burnley themselves, up until recently, they only just ended an 11-month winless run at home. That was only a few weeks ago. So they actually at home haven't been so great, but I believe it's 1 defeat in 7 for Burnley, isn't it, in the Premier League or something like that right now.
That's pretty impressive, to be fair.
Yeah, and they just recently got a draw against Chelsea.
And that's my point proven about Arsenal. And everyone's saying no losses in 10 or something so impressive. It's because of who they've been coming up against.
Well, they played Chelsea. Burnley got a good draw against Chelsea. They beat Brentford very convincingly at home. They've had a few other decent draws recently, and they've actually been playing very well. And they lost against Man City 5 games ago. Yeah, they lost against City. That was their loss. And before that, they lost to Arsenal and Everton. So they lost 2 games in September, and since then they've only lost 1 game since Man City. So it's going to be a difficult game. I think if we go 1-0 down, I think we could be in big trouble in this game, to be honest. We can't concede the first goal. Unlike a game against Leeds, where despite going 1-0 down, they're going to leave some gaps come the second half. Like Burnley, especially at home, not especially at home, but Burnley, just the team they are, very solid, very compact. They're going to make it very difficult. They're going to flood the penalty area with loads of defenders. And they're going to make it very difficult for you to get shots off and to create chances. And especially if you give them encouragement by going 1-0, if you give them an early advantage, then it all of a sudden becomes a very, very difficult game. All of a sudden becomes a game where you're struggling to get back into it. And unless we would score very soon after conceding, if we let it drag on for a while, I can see it being a big struggle. And the worrying thing is in Cornet and Wood, they got up front. They got two players who are actually quite in form right now.
Yeah, Cornet especially. I mean, he is just he's come to the Premier League and taken to it like a duck to water. Literally, came as a left back and he's suddenly playing up front and scoring a lot of goals. I mean, what is he? 5 goals so far this season.
4 goals.
4 or 5 goals this season. So 5 goals. There you go. 5 goals in his 7 7 games. 5th top goal scorer in the league. So we got to be very, very wary of him.
And the worrying thing about Cornet is it's not just he's scoring absolute worldies, and out of nothing he's scoring. And if he can do that on Sunday to give Burnley the lead, then that's exactly what we don't need. We don't need something like that happening where we're somewhere on the back foot.
Would you take him at Spurs, Cornet?
I mean, it's too early to say. I mean, I liked him at Lyon, but I never saw this kind of side to him. He was always like a left wing back kind of player. I remember watching him against when Lyon knocked out Man City in the Champions League. That was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I remember
Ndombele was really good for them.
No, Ndombele was a Spurs player then. I mean, was it last year or 2 years ago?
Oh, you're talking about then?
Yeah,
I was talking about the year before we signed him. Didn't Ndombele have a really good performance against Man City?
Yeah, there was that. But I'm talking about when Lyon knocked them out of the Champions League in the knockout stages. I'm pretty sure it was 2 years ago. I can't remember who knocked City out last year, but I know they lost in the final last year, so it was 2 years ago. And he was brilliant. I remember he scored a goal from about 30 yards out, but it was obviously an open goal because Ederson had come charging out of his area and the ball fell to Cornet. And he was able to finish it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, he scored that goal. I remember he was really dangerous that day. He was playing left wing back, and I was really impressed. But I would never thought he could be the kind of player who could play up front. This is just something. Maybe look, Sean Dyche has seen something in him, that he's actually got a very good finish and he's strong and he's fast, which we always knew he was. And he's added goals to his game, which is very impressive. Look, it's only 7 games in, so who knows? He could go the next 20 games out scoring. Like, he is that type of player, Cornet, to be fair. But at the moment, Sean Dyche seems to have unlocked something in him which no one really thought was possible in terms of turning him to a striker. And some of the finishes, like the finish last week against Palace was absolutely exceptional. A volley at the back post into the roof of the net.
He's got some proper techers about him.
That was some really good technique. I remember Southampton, he scored an over the shoulder volley into the near post. He's just been scoring like some great goals. And I remember against City as well. I remember I don't know, the result was 1-0 at the time. And he was through 1-on-1, and he had a really good chance to score. And if it wasn't for a good save for Ederson, he would have had another goal. So he's even been threatening the bigger teams, not just the other teams who are coming up against Burnley. So he's going to be obviously the number 1 threat. But then Chris Wood, we always know Chris Wood's a striker who is always going to be a threat, isn't he? Big, strong, tall striker. And the way Burnley like to play, getting a lot of crosses into the box, Chris Wood's always going to be a big threat. And with the 2 up against our 3 at the back, you know, that's probably that's something that they're going to be looking at and thinking they might be able to get some joy, especially if they stick Wood on Ben Davis. That's going to be definitely an avenue where if they can launch long balls into Chris Wood and they stick him on Ben Davis, you can get a lot of joy in that.
And obviously Dwight McNeil as well is big danger with his delivery into the box. But how much of a miss is Tarkowski and Westwood going to be, both suspended coming into this one?
Westwood, I think they can manage a bit more, but Tarkowski is obviously a massive miss. He's obviously a number 1 centre-back. Collins has actually been a decent deputy, to be fair. He's played quite a bit this season, so it's not going to be something that is new to them. Collins and me, I think they've played a couple of times already this season together. So it's going to be a big miss, and that's definitely somewhere where we need to look at and think, okay, the number 1 centre-back's missing. We need to take advantage of that. But it's not something that is new to them completely this season, because I think Collins has played quite a bit. He's actually been quite decent. They signed him for decent money, actually, I think, in the summer.
Who from?
From Stoke, if I remember rightly. I think they signed him from Stoke for decent money, like over 10 million.
And I was going to say, actually, because we've already gone to Turf Moor this year, right? 1-1-0 in the Cup.
Yeah.
Do you see it being a kind of very similar game to that?
Well, that game, Burnley actually rested quite a few players, didn't they?
Yeah.
And obviously Spurs, it was a bit of a mix and match, but we had to bring players on in the second half to win the game. I think Sonny came on and Lucas came on, and we ended up winning. I see it being a similar game? I mean, I hope so, because we were probably the better team that day, and we deserved the 1-0 win, despite the fact that we didn't create too many chances.
It was a very drab game, though.
It was, but we were in control of it, if I remember rightly. Like, we were the better team. So, as long as we're in control of the game, then I think we definitely have the better players to go on and win. But I expect it to be a tougher game, to be honest. I expect Burnley to have a lot more joy in terms of going forward and creating a bit more. We just have to make sure we weather any sort of storm that comes our way. We hold strong. I think if we keep a clean sheet in this game, I think we will win the game. That's what I believe, because I think we should, with Son coming back in, Lucas obviously there, we'll create a few moments where we get them on the back foot and we're able to maybe get a chance on goal. It's just making sure that, because I feel like if we go 1-0 down, the way we're playing at the moment, and the way this team, the mentality of the team is, the worrying thing is, if we do go 1-0 down, it's not just that Burnley will make it difficult, it's that we're going to start to panic. We're going to start to rush things. We're going to start to force the issue to a bit more. We will lose that patience that we need in this kind of game. And once you start doing that, all of a sudden you make it difficult for yourself to get back in the game, and you start feeling that pressure. And I think we've been guilty of that a lot throughout probably the past couple of years, to be honest, of just forcing the issue a bit too much whenever we concede the first goal, and we never seem to be very good at getting back into it. I know we did it last week against Leeds, but I think Burnley would be a different outfit if they were to go 1-0 up than Leeds would. I think Leeds always give you a chance, don't they?
Yeah, always. They always do. But,
Exactly.
you know, they did perform pretty well. I was quite impressed with Leeds, especially in that first half on the weekend.
Yeah,
But Burnley, I've been impressed with Burnley watching them week in, week out, to be fair. I really have, albeit they in the last 20 home games, they've only won 2 games, which is mad when you think about it. In the last 20 home games, they've only won 2 games, and one of those was Rochdale in the Cup.
And the other one was Brentford then.
Yeah, and the other one was Brentford. So, look, I think that we've definitely got it in us to go up there and win convincingly. But the way I see the game going is going to be a very tight affair, won by the odd goal, maybe 2. 1 or 2-0 is going to be my prediction. What are you going for?
I said 2-0 my prediction. I think I'm going to change it to 1-0. I think there's only going to be 1 goal in it. I think I just got to hope that we keep that clean sheet, because that's going to be that's the crucial thing. If we keep the clean sheet, I think we'll win.
And without Romero with that Sanchez shit show yesterday, who slots in there?
Yeah, it'll be.
Do you think Tanganga retains his space, or Rodon comes in? Who do you think takes that third spot?
If I was Conte, I would stick Sanchez, but I'd put him on the right, because I think the main issue for the whole Sanchez thing, obviously he was terrible, but I think the main problem for him was him being on the left-hand side. He just did not look comfortable whatsoever. You put him on the right-hand side, like, you know, when he came on against Leeds, he was pretty solid, and he was on the right.
He's been pretty solid every time he's come
and
off
he looks a lot more comfortable on the ball when he's on the right-hand side as well. So I think I also think it's crucial in this game we have players who are very good in the air and are very strong.
So would you not play Joe Rodon then?
No, I would play Sanchez over Rodon on the right hand side. I would play Sanchez on the right, David on the left, with Dyer in the centre. That's what I would do, because then you have 2 players comfortable on the ball, in Dyer and Davis, and then you've got Sanchez who's able to sweep up things that go over the top and stuff like that, and a bit of pace. Obviously, he played Tanganga against Leeds, so maybe that's an indication he feels Tanganga's a lot more comfortable on the ball than Sanchez, which he probably is. And that's not saying much, because I don't think Tanganga's comfortable on the ball, but he probably is a bit more comfortable than Sanchez. And it's crucial in the way, because you see in the way Conte likes to play, you see how Davis gets forward. You see how he gets in those positions where he's underlapping kind of the wing back on occasion when he finds the opportunity. And he's able to get in those positions where he's either able to get a shot off or get a cross in or something like that. And that's crucial to how he wants to play. And is Sanchez or Tanganga or even Rodon capable of that? I don't know. We haven't seen it at the moment.
No, we haven't.
And that's the problem with I think Romero, he's clearly capable of doing that kind of thing. Davis is very capable of doing that kind of thing. But we don't have another centre back really in that position who is capable of being very comfortable stepping into midfield or stepping into the final third and picking up the ball and actually contributing. We don't seem to have that, so it's about managing who he plays there. And I know he's played Tanganga there. I just think you're probably better off playing Sanchez and just having someone who's very solid on that right hand side. And even if he's not that comfortable on the ball, maybe he can just allow maybe Dye to go a bit further forward or something like that, because I don't know, I feel like Tanganga didn't do the job well enough for me on Sunday.
The thing is, with Sanchez, obviously he had a terrible 2 mistakes yesterday, and before that I felt he was playing with a bit of confidence, and every time he came on the pitch he looked aggressive, he looked up for it. I just feel like maybe yesterday he could have knocked him for 6 a little bit in terms of his confidence.
Yeah, I hope not, but you might be right. Whenever he seems to be on the left-hand side, he seems to have a bad game. That's the thing. I remember against Wolves in the Cup, he played on the left-hand side with Romero and he was terrible. Like, he was just so shaky. Then you move him over to the right. He just seems a lot more comfortable when he has, when he's squaring up against the defender with his body shape on the right-hand side. When he's on the left, he just seems completely not comfortable. And also when he's looking to pass and stuff, his body shape on the left-hand side is just completely wrong. He doesn't know how to position himself, and
not bad for a 45 million centre back, isn't it?
Exactly, can only play one very specific position. But that's the reality with Sanchez. You know that's who he is. And
look, at the end of the day, ultimately, if we want to if Conte is going to be our manager for the long term, and we want to match his ambitions, we need such better centre-backs than we have.
We need centre-backs.
Roden needs to be upgraded. Sanchez needs to be upgraded. Davis needs to be upgraded. Dyer probably needs to be upgraded.
We need defenders who are comfortable on the ball.
Yeah.
Because that's crucial. You look at his defenders for Inter. You know, you had Bastoni, De Vrij, Skriniar. The only reason he didn't like Skriniar is because he wasn't comfortable enough on the ball as the other ones. But he still is very comfortable on the ball compared to our centre-backs. And especially Bastoni and De Vrij, very comfortable stepping into midfield and very comfortable on the ball. At Chelsea, he had Gary Cahill, David Luiz and Azpilicueta, all three of them very comfortable on the ball. Very comfortable on the ball. And they can build up attacks. For Tottenham, though, you know, Davis and Dyer are probably our most composed centre-back options, and they're not like that great. So that's just reality. We definitely need big upgrades in the centre-back positions, and those positions are so crucial to us building this Conte team. He needs players in that position who can be an anchor. And at the moment, we just don't have that.
We need upgrades at centre-back. We need cover at wing-backs. We need definitely cover for Emerson, because we've literally got no one else apart from Matt Doherty. Left-back, we need cover for Reguilon, because, you know, Sesson really hasn't shown anything, but I guess he's got time on his side. But we still need cover that can come in now and do a job. We need cover all over the pitch. We need upgrades in centre midfield. We need a backup striker for Harry Kane. We probably need another right winger as well for cover for Lucas. So, I mean, the surgery in this squad is massive. It's massive.
Exactly. So that's what Conte's got ahead of him in January. And we're obviously not going to get all that done in January. It's impossible to do all of that. But we need to. But I think the number one is definitely the centre-backs, because that's just the most crucial role in the Conte system, is having those centre-backs who are comfortable on the ball, able to build from the back, but also not too much of a liability when on counter-attacks and stuff like that. And obviously they're difficult to find, but that's got to be our number one, because if we have that solid base in the back, then at least we've got something to build on going forward, and at least we can maybe keep clean sheets and keep things tight. And we have good players up front who can maybe provide those bits of quality. So that's going to be the number one for Conte. But unfortunately for him, right now, and Romero's injured, so he's just going to have to go with what he has. And
I actually think the fullbacks are massive for us. Fullbacks, like, whenever we play a Matt Doherty on the right, we pretty much lose the game. Mm-hmm. Whenever we don't play a Reguilon on the left, you know, we lacking massively on the left-hand side. We need competent options to back up. We just need them desperately, because that's what fails us a lot in these kind of small games. We don't have the options on the wing-backs that can provide, you know, good moments for us at all. Mm-hmm. They don't provide anything at our backup fullbacks. They're so bad. It's unbelievable. And in a Conte system where the fullbacks are so important and they exert so much energy, they can't play 2 games in a week, these fullbacks, just because of the energy that they exert in these games.
Exactly. We need people who can come in.
And that's especially the fullbacks. I think the fullbacks more than anyone else on the pitch.
Yeah, but at least right now we have 2 fullbacks who can start. You know what I mean? We don't have 3 centre backs who you're confident enough that you to go with. You know what I mean? So that's why I'd say the centre backs are just about a priority.
Yeah, I think that when everyone's fit, I think you can probably just about get away with Romero, Dyer, Davis, just about.
But I'm saying, you know, Emerson and Reguilon are much higher quality of wing back than Davis and Dyer are centre back.
Correct. Yeah.
So we need just from a starting 11 point of view, centre back has to be number 1.
Yeah, agreed. All right, that is our match preview for the game this weekend.